Welcome everyone to another edition of the Herron Talks podcast with our co-host Benita Love is in the house, and of course Marcela Robles is our wonderful production director. She does a great job and makes us look somewhat professional. And today we have very special guests. We have a tandem, right? We have a mother-daughter team, and I'm so excited about them in the real estate space. But they kind of made a name for themselves before even getting into real estate in the world of interior design and home furnishings. And they are the proprietors of Model Home Furnishings in Frisco, Texas. Very successful entrepreneurs, a woman-owned business. It's plural. It's two women, so women-owned business, right? And so, and they have expanded their offerings, and they've moved now into real estate, and this I think it's a perfect fit. They joined Monument Realty, which is a great place for them to be. A very good melding of two really nice brands that I think can provide some real expertise to anyone who's looking to buy or sell a house, and also they've got expertise in how to make sure someone moves into not just a house, but they're able to make it a home. And I think that's a big factor that most people don't really consider when they think about buying a house. They think about the address, but they don't think about the life that will be lived inside of that house. And that is an advantage that they have, that if anyone's working with them, you get that expertise to make sure that that house is a home. And so we'll be talking about that. But I want to first just welcome you all to the program. Thank y'all for coming in.
Thank you.
Al. Thanks, Benita.
Lovely introduction.
Yeah.
So Jaymi, who is the mom, looks like sister, right? Jaymi Leslie and Malia Leslie are our special guests here. And really, Jaymi, I guess we have to start with you, because you are the,
Since I was born first.
You're right. You were born
I'm about to say
first,
that.
right?
No, I was like a chicken and the egg.
And so I kind of want to hear how we got to this space, because your story is not, it's not the normal. I was born in, wherever.
So where do you want me to start?
So here's where I would like for you to start, because I know you were born in Idaho, but you grew up, at least until the age of 3, where?
In Tangier, Morocco.
Wow.
So
nice.
yeah, my mom was a writer, and she lived in Idaho, and she decided to go to Tangier to write a book. It inspired the book she was writing, which was called Where the Bamboo Grows. And if you know anything about bamboo, it takes a very long time to grow, and it's in usually very uneasy, not usually well fertilized areas. It takes a lot of water, and it takes a long time. So I guess it was very symbolic of the book she was writing.
Okay.
And she moved to Tangier. She wanted to just, liberate herself and see what that would be like. And my dad posed as a fake tour guide because he saw her, and I guess he felt she was very attractive. And so he followed her around until he wouldn't give up. She just said fine. And they opened a bed and breakfast in Tangier, and I lived there till I was 3. So,
Okay.
yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
But you were born in Idaho.
But I was born in Idaho because the healthcare conditions weren't that great.
Right.
So my mom came back, and I'm very glad she did, because she didn't do that with my sister. And my sister ended up having a lot of health complications.
Wow.
So as a result, I guess I was lucky in that sense. But yeah, we just barely, she had me, and then we went back.
Went right back.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so, and your mom, that's a very interesting situation. And your mother, I kind of want to give her props too, because she was not just, that's not just anybody makes a decision. I'm gonna go move to Tangier to write a book.
She wanted to immerse herself in that.
Yeah, she did.
But she was a genius.
Yeah,
though, right?
She always did everything at a very high level, and she grew up in Jerome, Idaho, which is a super, super small little farming town. And there wasn't a lot of access, so she just lost herself in books. And she did a lot of reading, and she had this brilliant mind. She became one of Idaho's first national merit scholars. So when they gave out that scholarship, they gave it to 2 people. And she was one of the first recipients. But because she was in such a small town, there was a lot of outcry on, people saying she didn't deserve it. She was a woman, number one. And then number 2, she was in this little small podunk town. And so they felt like it should go to a man, and that it should go to a man from the capital, which is Boise, Idaho.
Okay.
But her merits were just off the charts. They couldn't deny her.
So they just made it. So you had 2 that got recognized.
Well, no, there's always 2.
Okay.
But, but it was just a big controversy that one of them was a woman at that time. And so, but her accolades were just, they couldn't deny it. There were people that tried to contest it, if you believe that or not, but they just couldn't. And so, yeah, she always kind of was free thinking and just doing her own thing.
Okay. So very good. So you're there till 3, and then you end up moving back to the United States.
We moved back to the United States.
Okay.
We moved back to Idaho just for a hot minute. She worked for the local paper, just until she could figure out where else she wanted to go.
Okay.
And she decided that California was her calling. So
Okay.
we moved to San Francisco.
Okay. What did she do?
What age did you move to California?
Yeah. Well,
Okay. I know where we're going. So my mom got a very good job writing for Playboy magazine,
Okay.
the editorials.
Yeah.
Back then, that was kind of a prestigious.
That was her first job when she moved to California?
When she moved, when we moved back.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
so let's give some context here. So this is what years?
This is in the 70s.
In the
This is
70s?
this is like 76, 77.
And so for most people who might be watching this, they don't realize that
Right.
there was a point in time where Playboy was considered a very
Distinguished. Yeah.
publication,
It was.
especially on the editorial side,
On the
right?
editorial side, yes.
It was on the cutting edge of social issues, very thought provoking things, and so a lot of people just think Playboy. They think
They just think,
yeah,
sexual.
right, you
Yeah.
think, right. But the quality of writers that worked for Playboy is a roster of kind of who's who, right?
Yes.
And so for her to be able to go do that means a lot. Says a lot about
It
her.
was. I mean, she did a lot of things that a lot of people wouldn't have even tried, but that was one of them.
Right. And so I'm sure that was an adjustment, though. You're moving from Idaho to California, San Francisco, of all places. Much more liberal situation than Idaho, of course.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so then after that, she's writing there, but then you ultimately make it to Southern California.
Yes. We went to Southern California, and then we went back to Idaho.
Okay.
Briefly. When I was 10, we went back to Idaho. And then Missoula, Montana.
Okay.
And I know. And Benita, you just looked at me like that's so tragic, but it's actually beautiful.
I was gonna say, I've heard it's very beautiful.
It's amazing, and I'm very thankful to have been raised there, because I don't know if I would have turned out perhaps the way that I did, or have like the morals and the grounding and that I was able to get from that experience. But I lived there until my freshman year of college.
Okay, so that's where the majority of your life was, in Montana.
Yeah, up to that. Well, it was kind of half and half. I mean, it was all over.
Split.
And then,
Yeah.
it was real split.
So
But,
how did you end up? Why did she go to Missoula?
How do you say it?
That's
How do you say it?
it's
Missoula?
Missoula.
Montana.
Okay,
So
Missoula.
that's gonna be a little plot twist.
Okay.
Okay, I love a plot twist.
Well, I don't know if you're gonna like this one, but you're getting to know a lot about me right now. And you guys don't know this, but and don't feel sorry for me when I tell you this, but because of her lifestyle and because of the environment she was in, she actually was abducted when I was 10. Yeah, I went to the first day of 4th grade, and she never came.
What?
Yeah, I know. You guys are looking at me. You didn't know, but yeah.
So obviously,
sorry to just drop that bomb on you.
So all of you who are watching or listening to this, obviously we didn't get this in our pre-discussion.
No,
so so we gotta stay there for a minute.
Time reaction. Yeah, we're not moving on from this.
Yeah, we gotta. So
if you're okay with that,
no, I'm
okay.
fine. So she was a single mom at that point because when we left Tangier, her and my dad had gotten divorced. So I went to school one day and I came home and she was not there. So
now you have a sister, right?
I do.
So was your sister?
Yeah, my sister was there. Thank God my sister was there.
And
she became a missing person and they still haven't found her. They still haven't found any of her.
Oh.
So my aunt and my uncle adopted me and they're from Missoula. So my grandparents came and got me. I went to Idaho with them, and then until they could figure out where to send my sister and I, or not to send us, but they were aging, and it was just not, I was 10 and a half at that time. My sister was 5 at that time, or actually 6 at that time. So they were like, okay, what are we doing with these girls? Like we can't give them the life that they need because they're busy and they're active and all the things. So my aunt and my uncle offered to adopt us, and we moved to Missoula, Montana. And I gained an older sister cousin and then a younger brother cousin. So
if you don't mind,
because I don't mind. I don't mind.
So what do we know any more about?
No. We lived on 23 acres of land at that time in Hillsburg, California. And they thought that they had actually, I was living in Prosper, what was it, 4 years ago? And the detective, it had gone cold case, obviously, because they never could find any remains or anything. And they had no suspects, but there was an ex-boyfriend of hers who she had unfortunately put on the deed to the 23 acres of land. And there was always motive behind that because a week after she disappeared, he moved his girlfriend in that no one knew about in with me and my sister. So
what?
Yeah, he moved her in because my mom was not there. So he moved her in, and we had to tell my grandmother. She said, "Where's your mom?" We said, "I don't know, but this lady named Lisa just moved in." And she said, "I'm calling the police," and they came and got us.
So is that how is that how your grandparents found out that your mother was missing in the first place?
That's what I was going to ask. Okay, so y'all didn't even tell your grandparents at all?
No.
So y'all were just there for about a week?
Yeah, we thought
still going to school and everything?
Yeah, we thought she was coming back. And my grandma kept calling, and he would never answer the phone. So one day I answered the phone, and she said, "Put your mother on the phone." And I said, I can't. She's not here. And she said, "When's the last time you saw her?" And I said, "The first day of school." And that my grandma knew that had been a week. So my grandmother said, "Put Don on the phone." That was the guy's name. Put Don on the phone. And he wouldn't get on the phone. And she said, "If you don't get on the phone and tell me what's going on, within 24 hours, I'm calling the authorities and we're coming." And he didn't ever make the call. So he was always a suspect at that point. But then he decided to be a fake Hollywood producer. And I guess 4 years ago, or maybe 5 years ago when this happened, he got arrested for scamming people out of money to invest in films that he was supposedly making. And so he got arrested or put in jail for embezzlement and whatever those charges are. And he was bragging to one of his cellmates about taking care of my mom. And so the cellmate
about taking what do you mean?
Taking care of taking her out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he got away with it and how smart he was. And the cellmate, I guess, must have been up for like parole or whatever, and used that and told the police that, or whoever you tell, I don't know this world, but that he had confessed to this, and that he kind of thought that he knew where he was bragging about it being near an area of the ocean by where we lived. And so they called the old detective that was on the case, but it had turned cold case, and basically told him about the confession. And he decided for whatever reason, to come out of retirement to try to track down the case, because he said that was one that had always haunted him.
Sure.
And so they went and they did some digging, and they did find some women's remains, oddly enough, at this place, but they weren't my mother's. So, and that was 4 years ago.
He's still in jail?
He's still in jail. Yeah.
So what else has happened since then?
Nothing. They did come up and do DNA swabs on my sister, because they only needed one of us, and I think I was working that day. And so they swabbed my sister, and it wasn't a match. So the case is just kind of gone dead again. But I know that's not at all what you thought this podcast was going.
I mean,
no,
hey, look, I love this. I mean, I love the situation, but
right.
So
I like going deep.
It's gonna be a ratings bonanza on this one,
so you asked the question, and I didn't want to be dishonest. So that,
right.
yeah.
So
I
didn't
even know.
I mean, everybody has a story.
Well, I had to tell the truth. I'm a very truthful person, and I'm an open book. And a lot of people say, "How could you talk about that and keep a straight face or not?" Like, because it's my life. I'm older than maybe I want to say on this podcast, and so I've lived it, and so I'm just kind of. And I look at the blessings, right? Because I got adopted by wonderful people and had an amazing life. Yeah, they're great. So, So
wow.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is the silver lining, and there usually is one if you look hard enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Man.
I know. Drop that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yes.
Man, okay.
Sorry.
Well, no, don't be sorry. This is great.
Yeah,
So one of the things about being very book smart and intellectual, you find this often, they don't have a lot of street smarts, and they make poor decisions, and that was one of them. I mean, she thought when you think you're the smartest person in the room, there's always someone that is going to find your weakness,
right?
Because when you get that arrogance, or I wouldn't say she was arrogant, but she was tough to be around, because she kind of thought she was. So then someone's always better than most and so people. Someone finds their weakness, and they think they're too smart to have that happen, and that's when that happens. So.
Man. So then you eventually, so you graduate high school there in Montana.
Yep.
And go to college.
My freshman year at University of Montana. Go Grizz.
Okay. Very
good. Grizz. Well, they just the football team just competed here
for
recently.
Bears?
So
right.
Yeah, for Grizzlies. The Grizzlies, Montana Grizzlies. And did you want to know after that?
Yeah.
Gosh. Can I even remember after that? So then I moved to Spokane, Washington, because I wanted a little bit more of a city.
Okay.
And being a minority in Missoula, I'll admit, even though everyone's so nice, I stood out like a sore thumb. It was very hard to date. It was very hard to do anything. So, and my parents found out about everything. Not that I was doing anything that I didn't want to, but everyone's like, Kathy,
that's
their town. And I'm like, So that wasn't fun. So I moved to Spokane, Washington, and I lived there for... Gosh, this is going to bring me up to like 90. I moved there in 91.
Okay.
And then I lived there until 93. And I worked for a phone company, telecommunications company. And they got bought out, and they were relocating a certain number of people that had experience that they needed to California, to Southern California. And I was one of those people that got the job, and I was so excited because I got to leave, and I got to leave, and I got to get, even further away.
Yeah.
It's
beautiful.
No, Spokane, there's a lot in
beautiful.
Spokane. Don't say that. I disagree.
I was born there.
Yeah.
She's like, I know.
So there were things in Spokane. But so I relocated with the telephone company, and then I lived in Southern California for not even a year and a half before that company got bought by AT&T.
Okay.
And they wanted to they were moving their locations to San Antonio, Texas. I had never been to Texas, never thought about moving to Texas at that time, and I just knew it was not California. And so I took the severance package, and then I decided to pursue a career in acting.
So here's what I think I see, though. I do see some of your mother's
I was going to say the
DNA,
same thing.
right? It seems like you kind of a little bit of a free spirit, probably not to the point where, you're much more probably self-aware than your mom, but it looks like you didn't mind trying different things and doing, pursuing different, things that you wanted to do. It seems like you were okay with that, with not much in the way of restrictions. You didn't hold yourself back from anything.
No, I'm brave. And so I feel like, and I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to think, okay, why did I get to California? Okay, I got to California, and then they got bad out again. What's the chances? But that I grew up in the theater. Like, that was another thing with Missoula, Montana, is they had the Missoula Children's Theater. And so that was my happy place. So I'm like, I mean, I'm young at that time. I'm like, I have some money. I can pay for acting classes. I can get headshots. You know, that's all I was thinking. Yeah. And oddly enough, a really close family friend of ours from San Francisco, he used to be an ex-boyfriend of my mom's. I wish she would have never broke up with him. But anyway, he stayed in contact with us the entire time. Okay. Even after she had broke up with him. And I mean, he like, still to this day, every year on my birthday, he sends me a card and some money. Like, he's just solid, right? Sure. And he had been on a trip with a bunch of people, and one of them was the writer of Chicago Hope. And so now it used to be popular for anybody who, I mean, you know, so his name was Danny, and Danny said, hey, if she wants to pursue this, I'll take her under my wings and I'll help her out. And so Danny, after he stopped writing for Chicago Hope, started writing for a show called In the House with LL Cool J and Debbie Out. All that. And he invited me to the set, and I got to watch the production, and I fell in love. So I do calculate. I'm analytical too. So even though I'm brave and a free spirit, I take calculated risks. Sure. And I knew I only had this much money, and if it didn't work out, I was going to have to figure something else out, you know, so.
Okay. Very good. And so you start pursuing acting. So what comes of that? I mean, do you get any gigs? Do you show up anywhere?
Yeah, and I know you know some of it. So I got an acting coach, and it was actually, his name is Bob Burgos, and he had been the acting coach on a show called Dangerous Minds, a movie called Dangerous Minds with Michelle Pfeiffer. He got me an audition for a spinoff called High School High that was the Zucker brothers were doing, and I did that, and that opened up avenues for me. So I was on Saved by the Bell for 22 episodes, and then the new class. Okay. And then I did.
And the new class, Saved by the Bell, the new class. I'm trying to remember is that. It seemed like it was like 3 iterations of this, right?
That's when Screech comes back as Mr. Belding's assistant principal. Okay. And so then it's the new, it's all the new kids.
Okay.
So I did 22 episodes of that, and then I did like Melrose Place a couple times.
Oh, wow.
And like Party of Five, Caroline in the City, just random stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then I got into a car accident, and I got and it kind of changed. I was driving down the 101 freeway, and I got a tire blown out, and I went over the rail and head first into a big light post. And I had an out-of-body experience. I was like, I didn't know if I was alive. I could hear people saying, oh, dude, I don't think she's alive. And I'm like, am I alive? Is this like, but when I came to, I was like, I need to go back. I need to go home. I need to get out of here. Like, I just needed to reset and recharge. So,
and home
at that time was back to Missoula for like a hot minute.
You're like, no, I'm not gonna be here long.
And now here's the irony of that. My parents had already purchased a plane ticket for me to come home for Christmas. So I'm like, what are the chances this happens? I need to recover. I need to mend. And now I'm also like rethinking everything. Because when you see your life flash in front of you, you're like, is this where I need to be? I'm so far away from family. I don't know if this is what I should be doing. And I had that plane ticket. So I got on the plane ticket, and I never went back. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, and now so before you get back to Missoula, so you're in LA, and you're a young woman at this point, and I mean, what's the dating scene like?
He's like, let me circle back. Let's circle back to
what's the dating scene like? I know.
Okay, so part of the reason that I decided, okay, I don't know if I really want to be here, is because I was engaged to Dustin Diamond Screech. And that was prior to any of like him being a part of any pornos or any of that stuff.
Right.
That was before he went off the deep end. That was when he was still fairly normal. I was engaged to him for 6 months. And then when I decided
wait, just stop right there because we kind of speeding through this really quick.
Because it's embarrassing.
We've already, no, it's not, don't be embarrassed. So I need to figure out how do we get engaged to Screech? What was
I was on the show and we hit it off.
Yeah.
We just really hit it off well. And he hit it off with like my sister flew in and my other sister flew in. Like he hit it off with my family. And clearly, I obviously don't put a lot of value in looks, aesthetics. I mean, I find things that are attractive about everybody, and his wit and his humor and his charm, I guess. And he was just a really good friend at the time.
Okay.
So we dated for a while, and then he wanted to buy a house, and I didn't want to move in, and so he said, okay, let's get married. And I said, okay. And then when I thought about that, I'm like, this is not a good reason to get married. And so I broke up with him, and when I broke up with him, they moved me off the show. So yeah. Well, I mean, he's the star, right?
Yeah.
So that was an easy choice.
Yeah.
So-
You want to make things awkward on the set.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've dropped two major things on us here. So now I was aware of the Screech thing. That's why
I know.
I know.
Go back.
I'm like, Al, come on now. I know.
But
I was hoping you were going to ask about it. But
no,
but I'm good. I'm an open book. Hey.
you're open book,
Hey.
and this is. Listen, not many people will have an adventure like this. Nobody. This is a very unique journey that you
for
have,
sure.
and I think all of that makes you who you are. So,
For sure.
Okay, so now we get
Yep.
back to
And rest in
Montana.
peace
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Dustin.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
rest
right.
in
Yeah,
peace.
yeah.
And I did feel that was a tough. That was tough news to hear. Just because I mean, when you're with somebody and you care about somebody, you never like to hear that. So I felt really bad about how the end of his life turned out
Well, and
because it started off so good.
And it
was
sounded like even after the turmoil there, I thought towards the end, it sounded like he was getting things back together and then got ill.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. And of course, we'd lost contact with each other, but I mean, we have mutual friends still, and so it was tough. It was really, really tough. But so then I went to Montana, and then I moved back to Spokane, and then I met her father.
Okay.
And me.
So Malia finally gets introduced into this thing.
Into the scene.
Malia gets to be there.
It's pretty there.
Okay.
That's what I'll say.
So you meet Malia's dad, and then obviously it wasn't just a meeting. I mean we have Malia now, and so let's tell us about him and all of that, and then what happens then.
He was a men's basketball coach for college level. So like he coached at Weber State University in Utah, University of Idaho in Moscow, Idaho. And then more recently he's been then in Kansas. And then more recently he's been in coaching for Texas schools and then the D League in Seattle. So with that lifestyle, we moved literally every 3.5 years.
I think I moved more than she did.
Well, I moved with you, so of course, clearly
I know,
you
but like
didn't.
in my childhood,
her
childhood,
Your
I met
childhood
more
versus her.
adolescence.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense.
Right.
'Cause I was like,
Gotcha. So then Malia, so as you're growing up then, as you're moving to these different places, going to different schools, so I guess from how many years, maybe 3 years at a school at a time, and then you're at a different place?
Yeah. Like right when you started to get settled in, it was like, we're leaving.
You made your friends and
Yeah,
everything.
you made your friends.
Aw.
That's why me and my brother were best friends because we were so close in age and we moved all those places together. So we always had each other.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And so now, but I think that it builds something in people. I think when there's some adaptability that you develop when you
Definitely.
Yeah. And so I definitely see that. And when I first met Malia, I met Malia before meeting Jaymi, and I could see she was very, very mature for somebody who was only
25,
early 20s, right? And so I was like, okay. And so it makes sense though. Somebody who has gone through that and then adapted and come out, well. and done well for herself. So, okay, so that makes perfect sense. So how do we finally make it to Texas. And then to get into the whole interior and furnishing business?
Oh, well, yeah. So we got to Texas when I was in 8th grade.
So 2012.
Yeah. And then how long were we here before the store came in?
Okay.
Because, well, we moved quite a bit in Texas. I mean, not quite a bit, but I started my 8th grade at NAVO, which is it's on 380 in Savannah.
Okay.
Denton
Denton
County.
ISD. So I started there. I went to 1 year in Denton at Ryan High School for my freshman year, and then we moved to Prosper. So I started another new school.
Okay.
So that was fun. And then I finished my high school at Prosper High School. So and I love that high school. It was a great one.
And we left Kansas, so right around the time that her dad and I's relationship, went kaput. But I was a registered nurse because I was in Kansas, and like there was nothing to do but go to school. And and you have to see now. You have to think on your feet. You have to think on your. It was Garden.
It was a
It was
small
Garden
town.
City. It was small.
Okay.
So you have to think on your feet, because I started thinking about this. I'm like, well, if I'm going to be married to someone that's going to move every 3.5 years, I need to be in a profession where I
can get anywhere,
get a job anywhere, because I was starting over every single time.
Makes sense.
And so I thought, okay, well, I'll take advantage of this time when I have nothing else to do, and everything is 5 minutes away. Like, why not go to school? So I got accepted into the nursing program, and I became a registered nurse through that. So see, there's another silver lining. And then 6 months out of nursing school, I got hit by a drunk driver.
What?
Again,
I got
that's why I laughed when she said the first car accident. Not because it's funny, but because it comes up again.
Yeah,
Right.
I got hit by a drunk driver coming home from the night shift at the hospital, and he was drunk and high, and it was 6:30 in the morning, and he was drunk and high at 6:30 in the morning, if that tells you, and on his cell phone, and going well over 100 miles an hour. He ended up dying 3.5 hours after he hit me, and so I felt very, very lucky. But because of that, I couldn't work at the hospital anymore because I couldn't ambulate the patients and do the weight.
She was in.
So you got injured?
I was injured for like 5 months. I couldn't even lift my arms over my head or turn my neck. It was terrible. But I got through that. And then around that time, the relationship had fizzled out. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to become a pediatric nurse.
Okay.
Because the weight
you don't have
requirement
to
is
do that.
less, right? And so we moved to Texas because I got a job as a pediatric nurse.
Why Texas? And did you just
Because I had
apply?
some best friends from college that lived in Savannah, the Savannah subdivision, off of 380. And they had us come visit for 4th of July weekend, and we fell in love. And we were like, okay, like this, it just, when you just feel like, okay, this feels like home.
Sure.
It felt like home for the first time in my entire adult life. And so I was like, okay, kids, we're going. And we did. And that's how we got here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then you're in the nursing thing, but then at some point you decide, well, no, did we miss the fact that you sold real estate?
Oh, yeah.
We did. And I was going to say it.
Okay.
So I was like, wait.
Okay. So when he was a basketball coach in Idaho, I got my real estate license. And because again, what do? You go to school. Yeah, you go to school. And I am a jack of all trades, because if I'm not doing something, I'm doing something,
Right.
So I got my real estate license, and I started working for Idaho's largest builder. The name is Corey Barton Homes, and I was a top producer for them for a lot of years.
And so what made you a top producer for them? What do you think? What was the skill set that made you so good
Well,
at it?
I sold over 100 homes a year.
Nice.
So it was high volume. But it was a different time. It was before 2008, so it was a lot easier to do that. But and working for the largest builder, we did get a lot of Florida buyers and California buyers. So I'm not saying like it was all,
No.
But I was a part of a lot of transactions, and at that volume, it always put me in the top 3. So
Nice.
yeah.
Very good.
But I think also, like, I had a good team behind me. I only had one assistant. I did all my own transactions other than that, and just putting in the effort.
Okay.
Did you enjoy it? I'm guessing you enjoyed it.
I loved it. Oh, and that's why I came back to real estate. I loved it. That was probably by far the happiest time of my life.
We used to go drive around and look at houses with
For
her.
free.
For free.
For free. We would just go look, and anybody that
I mean,
ever
clearly we were doing it for free.
yeah, anybody that ever sold us homes all the times we moved, because we would buy a home each time.
Right.
The real estate agents were so kind, and they knew, like, she's got these kids, and like she's you know, trying to get acclimated, and they knew I loved it. And so they would just call me and, hey, I've got a listing to go look at. You want to come? And I'd strap the kids in the back seat and we would go.
Right.
And it was just always fun to us. So
Okay, so I knew we needed to go back because I wanted to make sure that when we finally got to real estate here, that you'd already had
I
experience.
love it.
with
Yeah.
Okay, but you end up, and obviously you like home furnishings and interior design. So how do we get there from
nursing?
Okay, so as a pediatric nurse, and yes, there's a magnet on my car for sure because I got rear-ended really, really bad.
I was like, what?
I know, now you're gonna make it. Nobody's gonna ever want to ride with you.
Okay, but I will
She's
say
a
this.
great driver, though.
I will say this. Remember that everything happens for a reason.
Yes.
So my sister had gone through a recent divorce, and she and I, when we lived in Idaho, and I was selling real estate, she had opened a furniture store, and the people that I was selling, the builders that I was working for, they needed furniture to stage their homes because they were not if they were not selling.
Okay.
And so I called my sister, who has the furniture store, and I'd say, let's work together to stage these for these builders.
Okay.
And every time we did, they would not only sell like fast, but they would sell for above ask, and they would sell with the furnishings, and people would pay way more for the furniture than even what the builder had bought it from us for.
Gotcha.
And so when she went through her divorce, I had a little bit of a settlement from the drunk driving accident. And I said, how can I put this to the best use? And my sister was struggling, and she was still in Idaho, and she was struggling to get out of her divorce. And I said, you need to move here. And she sold her furniture store there and moved here with her son, and they moved in with us. And I just one night had this idea, like, I'm going to start Model Home Furnishings for my sister and her family and ours. I just didn't know how big of a deal that was going to be, because I did not know, little did I know a year later I was going to get rear-ended and be told that my nursing career, as far as like with patients, was over. And I didn't want to be a phone nurse. So I was like, I was trying to do both businesses anyway. Like, I would get up at like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I would work till midnight because I would go to my nursing job, and then I would still have work to do. And I'm like, maybe this is a sign that I'm just supposed to do this full time.
Sure.
And the business will be better if I do. And it just took off. So,
And it did take off.
And it did
I
take
mean,
off.
it
took off.
So what was it about the business? Because obviously you have some familiarity with it, with you dealing with your sister when you were doing the new home sales there. But what was it about it that took to you that made the business so successful? Because obviously you had to have had some level of skill that made it take off.
Well, my sister's degree was in design and textiles, so she's really good at, like, even when she was 5, like, or, you know, I mean, she would do little things and to make her bed look nice, and I'm like, well, how do you know how to do that?
Right.
You know, and then I'm analytical, and so we kind of meshed our skills together, and I think that I'm very much because I'm forward thinking. My sister's one that doesn't want to change. You know, she doesn't like change, so it works too. But our concept and why we're called Model Home Furnishings, and a lot of people don't understand, we don't just do like staging or anything. We believe that every person deserves to live in a nice home, and so our whole concept and the reason we named it was everybody deserves to live in a home that looks like a model home. And so therefore we called it Model Home Furnishings. And we wanted to be reasonably priced. We didn't want to be like the big box stores, and we didn't want to keep our overhead so high that we had to gouge people, you know, for furniture.
Sure.
And we just deserve everybody to, you know, we think everybody deserves that. So we've struggled before, you know, as single moms and whatnot. I mean, we've struggled before. So we were like, okay, let's give something to everybody. So that's how we.
Gotcha. And I guess it's that concept, it's that belief, I think that resonates with so many people, and why you all have such a, huge fan base of clients who they swear by you guys.
They know we care.
Yeah.
They're not just and for a long time we were by appointment only because we wanted to know every single person well that walked in our door. As we got busier, we couldn't do that model anymore, but
I still know.
Yeah, she still
almost all of our customers.
She will recognize somebody by name from 5 years ago. It's the weirdest thing.
If I see them just out in public, I'm like, oh, that was, and it takes a minute, but I'll get it and I'll know exactly what they ordered, where they're. I sometimes know their address. It's weird, but it's from inputting things in the computer.
Right. First and last name, all of that.
Yeah, I'll remember their kids. I'll be like, oh, they had those kids that were so cute or running around.
Yeah. And she'll know their kids' names, too.
Really?
I have really good, facial recognition.
Okay. Well, that's good. So now, Malia, you get involved in the business, right? Is this right out of high school? Do you start working there?
I was in high school.
You start working?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would just go up there on the weekends. At first, I think she wanted to keep watch of me and what was going on the weekends. So it kind of felt like a punishment. But then I started to like it, and I was like, oh, I want to go to work with Mom. And so I'd go with her. And I really liked being around my aunt because she's very creative, like she was saying. So I learned a lot about design through her as well. And that was always fun. And then when I got out of high school, I thought that I wanted to teach kids. And I was working at a Montessori, so I was with 2-year-olds to 4-year-olds.
Okay.
And I thought that was exactly what I wanted to do. And so I did that for I did it in high school
both.
too.
You did
I did
both.
both. And I did it 2 years out of high school. And then I was like, I can't do this because I don't actually enjoy this. And it was a lot. And I still love kids, but, but 12 at once is a lot.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
So and that was when they put me in my own classroom. I was like, no, don't want to do that. I liked the buddy system. So then I went and I was like,
you were full time.
Yeah, I was like, hey, can I please work for you guys? Because I think that I can be of value here.
But you had to go.
And I'm very systematic.
You
Like
had to get school.
Yeah, so I went to school while I was working for them. And I was
design.
just a admin or kind of like the greeter.
Okay.
Because at that time, the greeter was a hard job.
She was a design assistant.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was design assistant. She went
It's a
out
hard
with all
job.
the designers on all the stuff.
That's maybe why I know everybody, because I was greeting them when they came in, and we had a list at some time. We don't make people sign in anymore, but people had to sign in, and so it was like, we knew everybody.
Right.
And then when I finished school, I got promoted.
Well, no, you started becoming better than some of. I mean, wouldn't say better, but your design started becoming on level, on par with everybody else. And she was just the assistant.
And school was great, but I do give a lot of credit to my aunt as well, because I just watched her a lot.
Right.
And so we have similar styles. Hers is a little different from mine now because I've kind of developed into my own style. But for a long time, it was like we're very intertwined, interlocked with our style.
We nicknamed her the Doogie Howser of design. And so anybody that doesn't know the show Doogie Howser, it's a very young MD that has no business. And you wouldn't even. And she knew. She was just really naturally. It was a gift. So
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just also, I kind of get it from her in a way, but I like sheets and organization. And so being in the store part-time, I could see some things we could improve on, or, maybe if we made a sheet for this, this would be better. And so she kind of gave me the capability to kind of just do what I wanted to do, which was really nice. And I would run it by my aunt, hey, do you think this is okay? And she's like, yeah, that's great. And so I came up with all these sheets and forms that we have now that we still use.
So then we needed her full time because nobody understood how to do
Nobody knew how to do it.
They didn't know your
Everybody
system.
knew her system. So we needed her for the system.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, teach the old dogs new tricks.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
but you have to be around to teach it. So
Yes, which I love doing because it was teaching in some way, but not kids.
But not kids, right? Adults.
Yes.
And so then you get the ability to
Design.
And so and that to me, I think is one of the, we'll get to the real estate piece in a minute, but I think that's one of the attributes that you all have that I think if anybody decides I am gonna work with Malia and Jaymi, to help me. You all have the ability to help somebody turn a house into a home.
Yes.
And so when people hear the thing, that's kind of hokey, but there's a difference, right?
There is.
You can walk into a house. And it does not feel comfortable. That's
comfortable, functional.
Right.
Yeah.
And people forget. They think, okay, I'm buying this address. Oh, I got this fabulous house and it looks great on the outside, blah, blah, blah. But you go and visit someone like that, you can feel it, even as a visitor going to a house, and you can tell when it's not just, it's something
doesn't
different.
feel,
Right.
It's not welcoming, or it doesn't feel like they're, I like to make homes feel happy. So I've went into homes and I've been like, this doesn't feel very happy. Like, and my clients are transparent and they're like, no, we're not very happy.
Right.
So what do we need to do?
They don't want to be there.
Yeah, we don't really, we think we need to move. And so in some case, I mean, before I had my real estate license, I'm like, no, we're going to fix it right now.
Right. Now you're like, actually, yeah.
Right, no, we got an option.
hey, we can do
both
both.
on the market.
Options now.
Right,
You have
right.
options now.
I'm like, we can do either
Right.
or. Before I was trying to keep them in that house, so I could design it. But yeah.
So what does that look like then? So because I'm sure it's different things for different folks and different lifestyles, what makes a home happy. But what do you see? And Jaymi, you pop in on that too. So
she's great at design too. She's not saying it.
Well, thank you, but
so like if you go into a house,
I'm not bad. But
so I always give the example.
I love it though.
I've had people before who didn't want to buy a house yet because they were always mentally competing with other people, right? So I don't want to buy a house because I can't get, they don't articulate it, they won't say it, but if you talk to them long enough, you really find out what it is. It's just like, okay, I can't keep up with Joe at work just got a new house and it's fabulous and blah, 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 and I can't do that. My price range won't put me in that space. But what we find out is some of the nicest houses is not the price tag on the house. It's about how the house is designed and decorated and all of that. And people miss out on that. There's some really good deals that people can purchase, something that's below market in some cases. But if they've got the right eye, they can really turn that into something where other people are like, man, I love this place.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And they need the right person too
Yeah.
that cares enough to want to work with their budget, because there are designers who won't work with certain budgets.
Right.
And that's just how their model works. But how we've always worked is, what is your budget? Let's talk about it. We're not scared of numbers. And then we will take your budget and we are going to transform your house into a home with that budget. And we're going to do what we can to work within that. Sometimes that means phases or, but we work with budgets, any size.
Well, like
So-
for example, I just had a closing last week, and it's a little bit of a different scenario because he is an interior designer, but he's coming from Oregon. And so he entrusted a lot of the changes he wanted to make with me, but he didn't have a big budget. And it's because he wants to move from Portland, and he wants to be no house payment, nothing. So his budget was I was a little nervous. It was under $100,000. In fact, we closed for $85,000 on this condo. But the way that we have figured out how we're going to transform it, it will not. And this is an interior designer. He does both interior and landscape designer. So he's very meticulous and a little creative. So he could envision this. But he was going to up his budget at first, and we're like, and then he was going to put in a whole bunch of money that he had set aside to possibly do upgrades. We ended up getting it down to where he's going to get everything he wants for $2,800. So he's getting an $85,000 condo. Well, he just purchased it, and he's going to have it decked out for $2,800.
$2,800.
So we don't
Yes.
just do furniture.
We
have
I have
contractors.
awesome
and
contractors that he's getting. I mean, he's getting a washer, a dryer, like all hookups, and they have to run it underneath the floors. He's getting a disposal, a dishwasher. These are all things that weren't there. He's getting all the wallpaper removed, the entire thing all the interiors painted, just a bunch of other things, and it's $2,800. The only thing that didn't include was the refrigerator because they sold it without one. Gotcha. So, I mean, there is a way to do it. You just have to be creative. and there's a way to make it feel like anywhere that you live to feel like home. And if you watch like tiny homes, that's one of my favorite shows. I love that. I want to move into a tiny home right now just because it's simple and it's easy,
and it still feels like home.
And it looks like, I mean, the way that they're making them now, it literally looks like a luxury. I mean, you know, so I think there's too much, too many people that put too much value in what other people think. And if you don't take the time to educate yourself to find out what it could potentially look like, you don't know. And if you've never done a home and improvement project, I mean, there's so many things you could do on your own. You don't even have to hire out. Simple paint, you know, decluttering. Little things like moving the furniture away from the wall a little bit so the room looks bigger.
Adding some greenery,
mirrors, textures. I mean, there's so many.
Vertical design. People forget about a lot of the vertical space that we have.
Even just in heighten, you know, the curtains, hanging them at a higher level. Even the, like we saw, remember when we were at that model home, Bonita, they had raised the shower rod?
Yes.
And it makes it feel so elegant.
Yeah, it feels luxurious.
Yes. And that was a simple bathroom, let's be honest. But it was the way that they hung the curtain rod. So there's
really
just simple things.
I would never notice anything like that.
That was the first thing I noticed, right? When we walked in the bathroom, I was like, look at this. Because it literally looked like a 5-star hotel, but it was a simple, just
raising it.
Regular bathroom with a surround. Like, it, you know, so, I mean, there's little ways you have to know some of the tricks. That's why you just align yourself with the right people.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I'm Joe Blow and I'm a home buyer and I say, okay, I want to work with you guys because I also need you to help me kind of envision, you know, kind of work on this space. I'm seeing this house, but I don't know how to place furniture, what goes here, how to make it look a certain thing. Do I get that as part of working with you all as
Yes.
Just like my guy that I just closed, all the things that I did, the contractors that I had come in, he's in Oregon. I had them come in. They gave him bids. I had several different options.
Met him up there.
I met them up there. In fact, I'm meeting them tomorrow to give them the key so that they can do all the work before he gets there. So, it's just a service.
So he'll be
full
moving
service.
into You won't even have to live in it.
So here's what's so cool about this. And then when we first met, I was like, well, you all are the perfect people to go into real estate. And you said several times people have always asked y'all over the years real estate questions because they were like, y'all know so much about this, then they assume you know about the different neighborhoods, different builders, and you what made you finally say, you know what, let's go do this?
Well, even like that question that Malia said where people said, I don't like my house anymore, I should just move. Do you think I should move? You know, at that time we were like, well, we're not we don't want to give you our opinion, but we can try to find a real estate agent that could maybe help answer that question for you. We're not familiar with the market, like, because we hadn't put the time in.
Right.
So I think that was just like our passion for it. Why are we having other people do it? Why aren't we just figuring out what we need to do to get our license in Texas and do it?
Right.
It just was logical.
I had a couple customers just say, well, can you just sell the house or can you help us buy the new one? And I was like, well, I'm not a real estate agent. And so after enough thought, I was like, hey, I'm going to go get my real estate license. And she was like, I'll go too.
Because I love it. I'm like, what took me so long? Thank you, wise one. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I was like, I remember we used to drive around to the houses and I really liked it. And I liked seeing you do it. And I know you really enjoyed it. So I think I'll like it too. And she was like,
well, and we get like nosy. We like to be able to have access to the market. We like to know, we like to be the market experts. And we were just kind of doing it without really being able to do it. Right. We're advising people, you know, to a very limited degree. And then we're like, let's just do it. It just makes so much sense. Because there is a harmony that goes into it. Whether you're buying a home and like you said, Al, you can't see the vision for that home, or I'm taking you to what you can afford, but it's not what you thought it should look like because you're seeing all this other stuff. There's a way to get it to a level that it will look, I mean, just even by changing the paint, you know, it can look way beyond your imagination.
And so many people miss out on the fact that it's levels to it, right? So you buy that first home, and maybe it's not the one that you ultimately wanted, right? But you buy that first home, build equity in that house, and that house actually helps pay for the next house. And you keep moving that way. But you'll never get where you're trying to go if you don't get started.
Yeah, like I said, you're comparing it to the person that has, you know, the big 5-bedroom house or 3,000 square feet, but they probably started where you are, so you gotta get to that.
And they might not even like that all that space. I mean, they might not even. That doesn't mean they're happy there.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many people are locked down because of some mortgage, right?
Yeah.
The mortgage, I can't go on vacation. I can't go hang out and do this. I can't do that because I'm working. I'm a slave to this house
that they don't even enjoy.
That I don't even want to. I don't even enjoy being at.
Right.
Yeah. And I can't afford to have. I can't afford to have friends over to entertain because I can't afford to pay for that.
The maintenance and everything.
And then you've got this other guy with this smaller house in this little more modest community neighborhood, but he's got a spectacular place, a great place, and he's able to go still do all the other stuff, right?
Travel and enjoy.
Yeah, and it's, I always say it's about the life that you're trying. It's people, and like you said, made great point, Jaymi. Too many people care about what other people think. Your decisions are based on what other people think, which is the stupidest thing.
Dumb.
Because they're not really thinking. They don't care. They're not thinking about you.
Yeah.
Right. But you're concerned about what they've got other stuff. In fact, a lot of them trying to figure out how to pay the mortgage in this big old house that you think you want. Right.
Yeah.
And so I love the level headedness. I love the confidence in which you all are able to advise people. And, you know, it's up to them. You make the decision what you want to do, but you all are able to speak from a point of, hey, look, I'm not trying to push you into something that you don't really need to do.
No.
Right?
And even when you're selling your home, there's so many easy little things that you could do to, and I know you know this, Benita, I mean, so many little things to make it look bigger, to make it look more modern. I mean, they're little tiny aesthetic things that you can do. I mean, it could even be something as simple as laying the rug on a vertical instead of, I mean, there's just so many different ways that you can do it. And people, they just get scared. They don't, you know, they don't think they're going to be able to accomplish it. And it's like, well, that's what you have guidance for. If you can't figure it out, then there's someone like us that can.
What's out of that? So I'm so, Benita knows this, and we talk about this a lot. I remember telling Eddie when I first met you all, and he bumped into me after meeting y'all. I was like, look, I think I found like the next big thing, right? And I was like, because they've got a skill set that's unique, and they work together as a mother-daughter team. It's all like two sisters. They just kind of do everything together. I was like, they are going to be big. And so I told him, he's like, oh, no, I've heard of, he had heard of the furniture company and all that stuff. He said, yeah, I've heard of them. And I promise this, mark this down, all those of you listening and watching this, I declare that this duo, they're going to be some of the biggest names in real estate because of all the stuff that they can do. And it's really about, when somebody's making that purchase, it's not about the address. I always try to tell people this is all about the lifestyle they envision that goes with the address. And so what's more important is, okay, what is it that you want to do here? How do you want to live here?
Yes.
And the person who can make that happen, make that dream that they have in their head a reality, that person's got it made, and you guys are able to do that. You all have that skill set, and most people don't. And so I think that is so unique. And really, those of you who are out there listening to this and watching this, if you're looking for a great real estate agent, of course, Benita's great too.
Yeah, I was going to say, she's been such a good mentor.
But wait, the way you said it, I mean, she's great.
No, she's been, and we'll say, she's such a good mentor.
That's where I'm going.
Hold on, let me back up. I introduced the
That's where I was going.
She's
I don't take credit.
That is where I was going with that.
You're a great mentor.
We love Benita. Benita is great.
Love Benita.
The point I was about to make before this rainstorm is that I know them because of Benita. So
Yeah.
Benita, I think, met Malia somewhere or through
I
something.
met them both.
Yeah, we're family
Okay.
friends.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
family friend.
Yeah,
You
I
like
was.
stuck with
Yeah.
me because I
Yeah.
was like, yeah,
Jamie came up to me. We were in a baby shower.
That sounds right.
Yes.
Where I was somehow got into bartending duty.
Yes.
That type of baby
You
shower.
were.
Bartender at a
Yeah,
baby shower.
At the pool. in
Yeah,
the
Sexy
backyard of the
Red's
pool.
baby shower.
No.
Yes. Who? What baby
No,
shower?
don't
you
do. No, it wasn't that type of baby.
at?
shower.
No. It was very classy.
Yeah, very classic.
It was
Come
one
on
of
now.
her
Yeah.
family members'
Yeah.
baby showers.
Oh, okay.
It
And
was
we
your
were
cousin.
guests. Yeah.
Cousin,
And I
right?
don't know. Oh, I think maybe they.
came with a
yeah,
friend.
I forgot. I don't know who told you that. Maybe Chanel's mom. I think they
no,
told you that
yeah, I
I
asked
helped
you
them
what
buy
you
a
did.
house. Oh yeah, or
And
something.
I asked you what
yeah.
you did, and you said you sold real estate.
And you're like, oh my gosh, my daughter. And then she grabbed Malia. And I was like, oh, hey. We just kind of clicked and
Yeah.
then kept in touch. And yeah.
I said, if you ever want someone to mentor, to shadow you,
Uh-huh.
because she knew she wanted to do it. And it's different when she sees mom, they're more aligned age-wise, whatever. And so I said, if you ever want the hard-working person to kind of assist you or do whatever, call Malia. And so then when she saw Malia got her license,
I don't know
called
how I
Malia.
think you reached out to me
Yeah.
and told me I should come check out.
Monument. Yeah, because you were like, oh, I got my license. Like,
Yes.
oh,
Yeah. Because I when you get your license, you don't know what's going
Right.
on. Like I really was like, I don't know what's going on. What
Yeah.
are we doing? Where are we going?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you came in.
Yeah, Monument's
then
been huge.
we met
And
you.
Al, and just the support that we've gotten from you guys
Yeah.
has
Y'all
been,
have-
and Monument has just been outstanding. I can't say enough about it.
I'm so happy.
So happy. And then I
It
think
left a lasting impression because I went home and I was like, this is where we're going. This is where we're going to be.
yeah.
You need
Now,
to get in there.
And you deserve, Malia deserves a lot of credit.
Right.
Because her mother decided
Yeah.
y'all were going to do something
Yeah,
else.
because I got a message. Oh, we're not. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I was just going with what a friend's suggestion.
Well,
But
and
then I thought about
she didn't come in with
I
me
didn't
that
meet.
day. So,
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
you know,
Just-
I
yeah.
had got all the good energy and I was like, this is.
She kept saying,
And
"You're
I'm
making a
not
mistake.
somebody who's.
You're making a mistake, Mom."
I like think about all the options. I don't just like go with whatever I see first. But I was like, no, that we're gonna this is where we're gonna be. We're gonna be at Monument.
It felt like
And so,
home.
Yeah,
Now,
She
here's,
knew.
Yes.
here's the cool thing. And so here's what I've watched in you all. So I forgot what. It was something. You all were at the same place. And I looked at how Malia watches you. Malia definitely reveres her mother.
Aw.
And you can see it. I can see how she even looks at you.
Well,
But-
you don't see
but-
how she looks at me when we get in the
No, no,
car.
But listen, but I also, but I,
It's a mom and daughter
but
thing.
I also know, but I also know when Malia knows that this is what we should be doing
Yes.
and not that, right? But she's gonna let you because out of respect for
Right.
who
Yes.
you are.
Right.
She's
She's
very
gonna
respectful.
she's gonna say, hey, that's what cool. But Malia knew eventually this is where you would be.
She's like,
And
I'm going to let
this-
her find out.
I said, whatever, we'll try it, but we'll end up there.
Right.
She's always been a leader. So when I called her Obi-Wan Kenobi, like I do put a lot of weight into what she says
Sure.
because she's quiet, but when she says something, she means it and it's well thought out. Then I have to go, oh, you're probably right.
All right.
So yes, we
Yeah.
have a mutual respect.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, and you love her.
Oh.
We can see it just in how you. Yeah.
Yes.
So
I love their dynamic.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And so when I finally got to meet you and back with Malia that next time, I was like, okay, yeah, we got him this time. And I could tell Malia had
Oh, yeah.
convinced you.
Yeah.
And so it was good. And I think this is
Yeah.
going to be great. I think it'll be great for you all, of course, but I think the people who are going to benefit the most are the people who hire you all to help
Yes.
them,
Yes.
make the American dream a reality. And
Yes.
so I am so glad you all were able to come visit with
Thank
us.
you.
We learned so much about
more than you
Yes.
probably
All
even
the details.
signed up for. But, dang.
No, it's great. I
But
love
this
the
is
details.
great. This is wonderful.
But at least you know you'll always get the truth.
Yes.
No, but hey, listen.
No
No
filter.
matter
here.
what.
That-
No filter. Yeah.
So
that
if-
matters.
do you all want to share how people can reach out to you for real estate or home
Sure.
furnishings or whatever?
So as far as our Monument has been generous enough to let us go under the name of House to Home Realty Group. So we're working on our website. That just all had to be approved. And it was. Thank you, Al, for helping that get done. So we're going to have a website soon. But for now, you can reach us at 620-640-0040 or 620 640-2490. And then you can find us on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll have her.
It's just our first and last names, or if you're trying to get in touch with our store, it's just Model Home Furnishings Frisco. That's the username. It's a long one, but
No.
but it's
like
to the
it
point.
sounds.
Is that
Yeah.
right?
It's located in Frisco, obviously. So Model Home Furnishings Frisco.
Right.
And although we're in real estate, obviously focused more on that, the store is still running, and there are still designers there who, if you just even need furniture, they can help.
And the Instagram handle for House to Home Realty Group is literally
House to Home Realty Group.
Okay.
Like we keep it
Yes.
simple.
Yeah, we're to the
That's the
point.
way to
There's
do
no
it.
underscores or any of that.
No.
That's the way to do it.
And then Malia Leslie, and then I don't know why mine's Leslie Jaymi, but I think I need to change that. But it's
No, she's going to keep it Leslie
Okay.
Jaymi.
I like that.
okay.
Okay.
So that's how
easier.
you find us personally.
Okay. Excellent. Well, this was great. This was great.
It was
It's
great.
good. And so,
Thank
y'all,
you.
again, I'm always supposed to do this at the start. I never do it. You're supposed to like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff. Again, thank you for joining us today. This was really good. And we'll see you guys next time.